Okay, the shalas of the Maamar were why the pasuk when talking about Chukas Torah mentions Shem Havaya twice. Vidabar Havaya Moishe, and then Chukas Torah Shetziv Havaya Leimei. Then to understand the medrash, there's a medrash that says that both Pesach, called Pesach, and Paraduma are referred to in the Torah as a chukah. But I don't know which one is greater. So how do you know? Marshal of two matronos, two matrons, two noble women that appear similar. So you don't know who's greater. But the one that serves the other, or in other words, the one that needs the other, so the one that is providing is greater, because the one who's in need of her is in need of her. So the Medrash concludes that I don't know which is greater. However, since in order to bring the Korban Pesach, everybody needs to be toher, nistayr. With Paraduma, the conclusion is Paraduma is greater. So you have to understand what's the inyan here, that they're both gedolos, and yet Chukas Torah this one is greater. Paraduma is greater. So you preface by bringing the beginning of the parshas Vayakel. This is a maamar on basically about the Paraduma, but it's also parshas Vayakel. So in Vayakel and Paraduma is of course in the parshas Chukas. So in introducing the Mishkan, the description of the contributions in the building of the Mishkan, Moishe gathers all the Yidden together, and amongst other things he says, so why is fire singled out when it's one of the Lamates Malachas? So he brings from the Shalah. In addition to in brackets he says, the Gemara brings 2 days, Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Nosson, whether Eish Lalav Yotzes or Lachalik Yotzes, right? Where they're singled out because it's a lav and not an Isser skila, or it's singled out the chalik that if you do, a person does behel and mechad many malachas, yachayev a kop mechatas for each one. That's the answer in Gemara. But the Shalah answers why is leisavada eish, because leisavada eish is klolas hamalachas. Why is it klolas hamalachas? Because all the malachas have to do with bria, and bria starts with chokhmah, and chokhmah is oir. What was the first? The first bria was oir. The creation was created by klolos, and then it developed into proteus. So klolos is the inyan of oir, and the oir is the inyan of eish. So it's that when the Torah says like sevarda eish, it means all the malachas, because that's the klal that precedes or the source of all the pratim that emerge and descend from it. Then he said, to understand that deeper, and to understand it navoida, what's the yin of kech ke'avayla kecha eish eichlahu? So he said that the tev of eish is to be oila l'mayla and separate itself from the wick. A very profound message conveyed here, and that is that even though obviously creation comes as a result of Elikos being nimshach in creating it and being mislabish in creation, mahavet and machayit. However, that's not leizer ikar Elikos. Masha mahava, masha elmis nisav mimenu. Eibishter is not a creator. He's the creator. He's not a creator. Meaning to say that that's what he is. It's a choice. So therefore, the union of fire, which is oil, which is oil and the maila betiva, conveys the inyan that the likus that's nimshach lemata is be'emes heipach hateva, in quote unquote, of the Eibishter, who was not by nature anything and not a creator either. That's what we're up to. Clear? Having explained now creation, so this is all conveyed in this pasuk we just quoted. All that is called in my name and my glory. I created it, I formed it, indeed I made it. The pasuk is saying the klolos ha'olam is nechlokim Okay, we'll wait till they get their coffee. Just made a summary. Chaim, you got your coffee?
Baruch Hashem.
And the cigar? Let's see, went to the bathroom. Did you go to... Aaron, that went to the bathroom to get a coffee. Okay, we waited for you. The klolis oilemes nechlakim l'tlas almin oilemes are divided into three. Barosiv yitzarti v'afasisiv. However, b'chdei sheyimshach alikos b'tlas almin. So how does alikos be nimshach? He just finished saying that lo yizel ikar alikos masha oilemes nisav mimena. So how do we get alikos, as it were, into bria? That's conveyed in the opening words of this pasuk. Shmi l'chvaydi. Nikra. First, the dik is the word nikra. All that is called on my name. What's required here is to call, and to call means to summon from its place to another place. So here a yerida. So there's this descent in the likus that the Eibishter has to bring about, that his oir is nimshach and oilemus. That's the diak, the nikra. The fish mitzad atzma could have eish oil, because by its nature, ended mulvadoi. There's nothing but Hashem. There's no bria. So there has to be this chiddush, this amshach. So just like the amshacha by divine decision, is there should be three elements, three dargis, three stages of bria. So therefore, paralleling that, amshacha itself has three inyanim. I presume he'll presently explain. And therefore also
I'm sorry, excuse me. Can you explain the words vinik shem sham shochi b'tlas alm k'meikin gam ham shocha atzma yesh gimel inyanim?
I don't know. I'm assuming he's going to explain it. That there's three stages in etzem yinam shoch. I didn't learn further. I'm assuming it's coming. If it doesn't, we'll revisit this. It's a general statement to be explained, l'chura. In any amshacha, there's three inyanim. Chal Mavurich said this, the three goimel dalim. Goimel is amshacha, is ashpa. Dal is the makabel. So in every amshacha, there's three stages. Mavurich, the whole mashal of the Rav and the Talmud, he has to formulate in his mind. Then there's a tzimtzum, and then he has to actually say it. We'll see. But it can be so. So likewise, Eden, since the Holy Yisavos is for them, is also three inyanim found by Eden. First of all, he brings the pasuk Mishakos Bereishis. Rashi says Bereishis. Why Bereishis and not Reishis? Yishvel Yisrael Shnikroim Reishis for two things, Eden and Torah. But the first and primary is Eden. So where's the union of three in Eden? The whole Bria is for Eden. So since the Bria is laid out in three levels, therefore Eden have these three levels. And what are they? Shagam b'keiches an neshama yesh gimel keiches, that the keiches of the neshama, the three faculties, three keiches, machshava dibur ma'aseh. That's the Bishas Kavana, that a Yid Lamata in Machshav Dibur Maisa should make a Direle Yizbarech. Shehem Dugmas Barose Vitzarte Bafasisiv. So the Yid parallels the whole Bria, which is these three elements, which we'll now explain. And then L'chura, go back to, I didn't go further, how the Likus says the three Inyonim. But let's see. The Hinei HaMachshava, so Machshava corresponds to Bria. Machshava is Yisavos Chadosha. Thinking, letters of Oisius, is a new Hisavos compared to what? That's some Seichel. Shari Lamaila Machshava in Oisius indeed in Benigli. Hide the Machshava, getting into the actual Keiches and Nefesh themselves. There is no apparent Oisius. They're there, potential, but not apparent. So when the idea, he's saying Pasha, the idea then assumes words and letters, that's a Yisavos Yeshma'ayin, that's Bria. That's like creation, all of a sudden letters and words appear. In other words, a pure idea, for example, we can see is beyond language. A pure concept is beyond language. He starts to think about it. He's thinking about it in a particular language. It's mamish yisavos of bria chadasha v'yisiyas. This idea, it's a famous Ramban, I say this quotes all the time, that yesh ma'ayin is called b'shem bria. That's what creation means. When we say creation, human being creates, we don't mean yesh ma'ayin. You create something, I mean, the tzir is created, but not the etzim tziyas. We can't create or destroy anything for that matter. We can combine and separate. But bria is yesh ma'ayin. That's why Torah uses the word bria as opposed to God made creation. So the dibo, so that's thinking of what? Of oisius. So the oisius, which emerge in machshava, that corresponds to Lema Bria Yeshmai. The Dibur in Gilo Yehelem. So what's Dibur? Dibur simply is you have these letters in thought, and now you're expressing them. They're concealed from the outsider. You're now revealing it. Shemegalis Helem Achshavta, he reveals that which is concealed in his thoughts. What he speaks now is either something he's once thought about, or he thought about once previously. And what does he say there? He ends in brackets. It's a pasuk. In Iyov. He's bemoaning that people speak sometimes without thinking. So bli machshava klal, that doesn't mean that there's no machshava. It means that he must have thought about this before, now he just prattles. But you can't have dibur in a vacuum. Dibur comes as a result of machshava, and now being disgal in dibur. How does this parallel le'mayitzira? We're following this, yeah? It's too cold in here. Probably good. It's a bit cold. Wow, it's on 20. Wow, not 25. Okay, sure. So how does dibur correspond to parallel yitzira? V'dugmas hayitzira she'inyon lo gilo yehelem de bria. So bria is relative to yitzira, is like a potential creation. It's very subtle, and in olam hayitzira, creation assumes greater definition of form. That's what dibur is. The Yisiyas HaMachshava now assuming much more concrete form in dibur. So Yoitzer is Oir, and Boire is Choshech. What's the connection? Shabri nikras Choshech, the fishu Helem. Bri is called Choshech because it's Helem, Lagabe, the koyach that creates it. The koyach that creates it is Oir, is Alikus, and now it's created a matzav of Helem, relative to the koyach haliki that creates it. By Yitzira, now this Helem, it's all very relative, this language here. It's the opposite of how we usually use it. Yitzir is called Oir. Yitzir is lower than Bria. Why is it called Oir? Because this creation, which is Helem, Lagabe, its creative force, now we're talking about the creation itself, it's still nebula, Lagabe, the rest of the evolution of creation. Now it's Oir, it's now being revealed that Eishis Machshava is being revealed in Eishis Adibur. We're switching from the world of, the word Cheshach is relative to the Koyach that's Mahavid. And the word Oir is relative to the Nivra itself. Clear? Hence, Yotzer Oir of Veira Cheshach. Right, you think the opposite, because Bria is highest, but it was associated Bria with Oir, and you'd see it with Cheshach. But you understand what we're saying, right? We're clear?
Yeah, but wouldn't it be working in both ways?
Pardon?
It's a Helem with respect to what's above it, because there's not much there compared to above. Not much revealed compared to what was above.
It's a Helem because it's a Metzias. Above it is a Likus. And now we have a Metzias, that's Cheshach. So we went from truth to darkness.
So it works the other way too. And we got the Gabri Yitzira, Bria is also Cheshach. Because it's not revealing anything.
Right. Yeah, correct. So now, yeah, but the Helem is both ways. And then we say, you're correct. The Ikat Gosha here is the Helem Lagabe Yitzira. Creation has not yet emerged.
It's all just relative to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah, you can say, yeah. So we can, yeah, that's a simple to say that.
And it's also relative to Seichel and Midis, that Machshav Dibur Maisa are not a real creation. It's only Gilead Helm of the Seichel and Midis. Everything is relative. When you look at the general picture, Seichel and Midis are the cause of Machshav Dibur Maisa. So in a certain sense, even Machshav Dibur Maisa are only Gilead Helm.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. It's just whatever. Okay. But let's look at this word. Shabriya nikras chesh lefishu helem. In Pashtus, that means it's helem. It's a concealment and likus. But it's also helem because the creation itself is in the way of helem relative to, revealed concrete creation. Kaponim, the Nukud is correct, right? But Yitzira nikras oilefish in yonahu giloi. So Yitzira is where creation emerges with structure and form. She's a gamkin loshen tzura. Giloi, all giloi must come in some kind of tzura, some kind of form. Again, even the highest level of giloi is tzura. Even though in Sof. What's the tzura there? The etzem in there's giloi away from the source to outside. Again, the notion of otherness is already tzura.
Does not start with Cheshach also, this notion of otherness? This exact notion starts when there's Helem also.
That's right. But now we talk about in the world of creation. The world of creation, what is this? It hasn't emerged yet.
Right.
Still potential. The world of creation, it's Oir. Not the Koyach HaYisavos. The whole thing is Cheshach. The whole thing is Helem. We're speaking now in the world of creation itself. From our perspective, in other words. From our perspective, Ilma Bri is Cheshach. Meaning to say it's a potential existence, doesn't manifest, it's not relatable. It's sublime. Ilma Yitzir is already where creation assumes form. Okay, so it's our perspective. We're saying this bracha, Yotzer Oir of Veira Cheshach, from our perspective. The shaila is the seder. It's about the lamaila. Yotzer Oir, and then we're tracing it back even further, Veira Cheshach, and then Bri, even a higher level where it's behelem relative to us. So Koyach HaMaisa, Koyach Nifred, so Maisa is already a separate Koyach. As we see, a person makes an act and walks away. It means Lamaila in Maisa. In Elam Asiya, you don't see Hashem's constant involvement, like it's obvious in Elam HaYetzirah and Elam HaBriah. So that corresponds to Elam HaSiyah, where Rub Beira and the Rishonim have the upper hand, like it says in Tanya, the name of the ''tשכ. So what he just finished saying, that the three Keichas HaNefesh, going back, he said that Bria is laid out in three stages. Bria Tzir Asiyah, this is all a Yerida for Likus, Kol HaNikra B'Shmi, Likus has to be nimshach and drawn down to be invested in this and give rise to this. The whole kavanah is a yid, because a yid betachtonim, that a yid lematin is machshava dibur ma'aseh should be megala likus. So therefore, yid also has these parallel faculties of machshava dibur ma'aseh corresponding to bri yitzir asiyah. That's a wrap. The whole point is that he uses his three koiches for Torah mitzvahs. Shazim naisim psila. We're learning this Tanya. We're learning now. Shazim naisim psila lo'er aleki. Then his machshav dibur ma'aseh become a wick to the aleki shenimshel le'esh. It's all about the eish eichla. They become a wick for the eish. So what is it so far? The eish, he says, is a likus which Bepnimi still carries within it, higher than creation. So through Torah mitzvahs, we mamshech this into the world. In other words, the Eibishter wants us to reveal in the world that he's beyond the creator, his true being, and that should be revealed in the world. And that's expressed in fire, present, but not present. So through Torah mitzvahs, kol hanikra b'shmi, we call him, we summon him. This is the desire, right? That he should be drawn, the eish, the kus, the Eibishter himself, in his creation. Now, continuing this model of three, this is all clear. Yeah, where is? Not surprisingly, Torah mitzvah itself is divided into these three kavim. Like the Mishnah says, the world stands on three things. So let's see how they parallel. Avoid is karbonos. And now tefillin connected to midin tiknu. So now we have the tefillis corresponding to the karbonis tamid. As the Gemara says in the pasuk, serve with all your heart. How do you serve with the heart? You serve with your hands. So the Gemara says with tefillah, the service of the heart is tefillah. This is avodah. Avodah has to be with the desire of the heart, the kavanah or machshava. So that's machshava. So tefillah is machshava, the desire of the heart, kavanah.
Or 31.
And even though you have to say the words, that the kavanah should be the way it should be, but not that the dibur itself is the objective. Which is why if you Shema, the first pasuk of Shema, and likewise the opening first bracha of Shemona Esrei, a person says it without kavanah, not yotze. It could be no, the Rebbe said it. They just, I don't know why they decided to put it in the notes. I don't know. It's not Moga. Although all the Rebbe, saw all the Mamorim, so maybe added it. What does it say here? See, when it says Hanocha, here it says Hanocha built Moga. That means that the Rebbe saw it, but we don't know if it made any notes at all. If it says Hanocha, it's not official, but he edited it. Rebbe saw all these things, as you can see from the beginning of the Sefer. If you have it, they show you the Rebbe's notes there. So I don't know. By the way, the kavanah that you have to have minimally is not in the touch of the words, but just that you're talking to Hashem. That's the basic kavanah. Without that, the person is not yotze. Even the halacha b'chalas mitzvahs einam tzrichim kavanah. That's the halacha b'chalal. But tefillah is the exception because that's what it is. And it's not like you did the mitzvah, you didn't have kavanah, you didn't do anything. But what's the kavanah you have to have is this general kavanah that you're talking to Hashem. Okay, continuing. So what do you conclude now? That tefillah is keneged, or machshava is keneged tefillah. Now Torah has to be spoken. The pasuk says it is life to those who literally bring it out, meaning, it says the Gemara in Eruvin, those who bring it out, articulate it in words. And in words itself, it's not enough to say it silently, whispered, that it's set literally and it's engaged in all 248 limbs. That's only when he remembers it. The Gemara tells the Talmud who learned and forgot everything he learned because he did not vocalize and say the words aloud when he learned. The Gemara tells the story of Bruria, the wife of Rabbi Meir, that she chastised the Talmud who was learning. He was learning whispering. She says, "What are you doing?" And she said, "If you don't say it aloud, you will not remember." And she brought this. She brought the pasuk that it brings out that it has to be set in all of one's limbs. Imarucha. So the pasuk Imarucha. Anyway, the pasuk that brings this out. So this is interesting. It's only through dibur. The shaila is, why is dibur so critical? Torah is havana vasoga. So it's only through dibur that you have the true understanding. So how does it differ to?
Similar to the first one.
That's what I'm saying. How is it different to tefillah? So tefillah is ma'orer kavanah. And here it's a little bit different. It's not ma'orer havana. He's saying without the dibur, it's missing in the havana vasoga. That mitis havana vasoga is dafke in dibur.
First of all, we're talking about machshava dibur ma'aseh.
No.
You know, tefillah is a machshava, and you know, Limon Torah is a dibur, and now he's going on to the tzedakah with ma'aseh.
We're asking why is Torah dibur? Torah is havana vasoga. Tefillah is mid, is the heart. Torah is even deeper in the nefesh. It's havana vasoga. Why is it dibur? That's what we're trying to understand now. He says a line because dafka through dibur is the amitis havana vasoga b'Torah. So we're trying to understand why is that different. Then you have to say the words of davening, you're not yotze.
Just like by learning. And can only come through dibur, so too, but for himself, you bring out in the understanding of Torah a lot deeper.
It's all true, but if a person doesn't have talmidim, he's not teaching, he's not mekayim mitzvahs limud Torah, mekayim b'shleimus.
He is only when he's like it brings in Tanya that he says it, he vocalizes it.
But why is that different to tefillah? You need the kavanah. You have it's the same thing. You have the havana without saying it. You have the kavanah with the havana in Torah without saying it. The kavanah in tefillah without saying it. It augments by saying dibur. It's ma'orer kavanah, and by dibur, by Torah, it deepens your understanding. We're trying to understand what's the difference between the contribution of dibur by tefillah to the emotion. L'cher, it's even more. By davening, it's even more. By davening is even more because you're not yotze davening unless you say the words. You are yotze limit Torah if you learn without saying the words. Fade is yotze. You have a suggestion? I don't. Huh?
Because affecting the heart.
One second. Aaron's saying, speaking.
It must be that there's two levels by Torah. You have to meet these, so deeper on its own, still something, still significant. And it's feeling. It's just like how exactly.
We're trying to understand how. We say machshava is connected. We can all understand how dibur contributes. I mean, we'll find the Torah so we can say. But the mitzias is you're yotzin with that Torah without dibur, and you are not yotzin krishma without saying the words.
Because tefillah is deeper. Because affecting a person's heart is more than affecting a person's mind. Look at
But tefillah is connected machshava, not dibur.
That's what. Tefillah is connected machshava, but I hear you. But it's Rusa Daliba, but the Avodah is Rusa Daliba.
As very the Torah is more connected to machshava than tefillah. Tefillah is the heart, and Torah is the seichel. Looking in the orders, is there any place we can look? There's also an answer when they put the 31 in our order. Because in the mind, but it's an obvious, like, what's the difference? I don't know. Barak Opandi, what does he send us to? It may be, look at the Torah there, and the Reb Marash. It says, even though it's integral, you're not yotze, you have to say the words of Kriyashma.
Also, by Torah saying dafka, it's different than saying by tefillah, saying the whole means. The words is a means. But now he's saying dafka.
Yeah, we pointed it out immediately. We still don't understand. We pointed this out as soon as we said it. We still don't understand why.
It's like emphasizing.
Yeah, I know he says it. We don't understand why. You hate to limit that Torah without saying the words. As soon as we said this, we pointed the chiluk between the lashonis. The dafke and amitis, okay. It's a very obvious thing, must be. We need to find the answer. We need to look at the sources, our conjecture. And that the Goshen in Torah is not just dibur, but bekoil dafke. Arucha, b'chol remachivar. We don't find that by tefillah. Shazim ishtameres. That's when it stays. If you wouldn't add the words, Shadafke de adibur yesh namitis havon vasogavat atayra, I could offer an explanation. And that's the Mishtameres component. It's a whole debate in the Achronim. If a person learns and forgets, if he's Yotze Limud Torah. Maybe that's what he's referring to davening. So you have to love God. If you have that love right now, that's it. You fulfill the mitzvah. They got to say Krishma tonight again, and you made it Ava again. The Ava should stay at every moment. It's different. So what gives the Torah its permanence is the dibur.
Because before birth, Rabbi.
But however, that explanation is not sufficient. In fact, will not do, because he adds amitis havana. He stresses the havana, not the mishtameres. And let's just finish the debate. What do you want to say?
Before birth, we will have had it all given to us, Rabbi, but at the same time, when we're studying it, the dibur is the utterance, and the parallel, we can't make a direct parallel because there's a paradox between us and the Eibishter. The Eibishter it's so ineffable that he utters it in order for creation to take place. But in our thinking, when we utter something, that is when we actually commit ourselves in some way to the act.
But again, when you learn Torah, if you're sitting,
the machshava dibur and the maaseh.
but if you learn Torah without saying the words, you're 100%.
Yes, but at the same, but
That's a question. That question remains currently unanswered. Why dibur is more associated with Torah than tefillah? On the contrary, the commitment will be more in tefillah than in Torah.
Yes, exactly. So that because of the fact that we become what we say, and the act becomes something that becomes permanent more so with regard to our utterance of it. It's like a mitzvah, for example. You can have an intention for a mitzvah, but if you don't do the mitzvah, it just remains in the ratzon. But
again, you are the mekayim, the mitzvah of limud Torah, by learning without saying the words. Anyway, it's open-ended a bit. We have to think about it further. Let's finish the
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay, and the third is gemach. Gemilas chasadim, which represents all mitzvahs, and all mitzvahs are called tzedakah. This is Rishalmi. Doesn't bring in 35, but it's a Rishalmi. It says all mitzvahs are called tzedakah because they're all actions. Tzedakah is to bring life to the spirit of the lowly. So we're bringing in action, we're bringing Elikos all the way down to this lowly world that needs life. It's through the mitzvahs that we bring Elikos all the way down to this physical world. This lowly world. So that's clear. Okay, so I'll do some research, and try and come back with maybe some answer to our question.